Coming up next on This Week in Torrance, local students come together in honor of Martin Luther King Jr.
Plus, Honda unveils one of the largest electrical car charging facilities located right here in Torrance. We'll take you there.
And we'll speak with one resident about her experiences during the 1997 El Nino.
And we'll tell you which new local brewery is getting closer to opening their doors.
These stories and much more just seconds away.
Your local news starts right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Jin Chun.
And I'm Ben McCain. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. The Torrance Police Department is asking for your help in finding a suspect involved in a recent carjacking. This is the suspect that allegedly approached the victim while he was opening his car door and used force to get his keys. The suspect then entered the victim's 2004 Honda Accord and fled north on Park Street and then east on Newton Street. The incident happened early Monday on January 4th. The victim's wallet was in the stolen car, and the suspect attempted to use the credit cards on multiple occasions. Police say he is a Hispanic male, 30 to 35 years old, and is about 5'6". The police identified this gray Chevrolet Malibu as the alleged suspect's car. While the crime happened earlier this month, the Torrance Police Department says they release crime bulletins like this to share information with the community only after detectives investigate all possible leads, so the case is not jeopardized. If you would like any more information or have any tips, call Torrance PD at 310-618-5570.
And newly appointed Torrance Fire Chief Martin Cerna enjoyed an evening mingling with local residents. The Old Torrance Neighborhood Association hosted a meet and greet with Chief Cerna. Many had the opportunity to talk with him one-on-one. Cerna also shared his vision for the future of the Torrance Fire Department.
We've done a fantastic job and we have tremendous support. As you guys know, we're really proud, and as the community is, to be a Class 1 fire department. But I think there's opportunity for us to grow and look for opportunities to be more responsive to the community on how we manage our incidents.
Before becoming fire chief, Cerna filled many roles, including fire engineer, fire captain, battalion chief, assistant fire chief, and most recently, the department's fire marshal. Cerna was chosen among 8 internal applicants and has nearly 23 years of experience with the city. Cerna is the 9th appointed fire chief to serve the city of Torrance, following retired fire chief William Rakowski.
We wish him great success. And in other big news, a Torrance headquartered car company unveils one of the largest facilities in Southern California. American Honda showed off their newest workplace electric charging facility. It was nearly 2 years in the making. Now employees can take advantage of the 120 electric vehicle charging stations right here at work. Honda says the facility is a sign of their commitment to the electrification of vehicles. They also installed a public accessible DC fast charger on Harper's Way, adjacent to the Honda campus, giving Torrance residents a chance to charge their electric vehicles.
I think the investment that American Honda is making in EV vehicles is really important to the future. We need to be moving more towards environmentally friendly automobiles, and this is certainly a great investment in doing that and moving forward to allow electronic vehicles to be able to be charged.
In the coming years, we will roll out a new portfolio of low-emissions electrified vehicles, including new hybrids and plug-in hybrids, battery electric and fuel cell vehicles. These vehicles will be here before you know it, so now is the time to prepare. And this workplace charging area is just one small part of Honda's big efforts to boldly lead into the future.
Electrical vehicles generate significantly less greenhouse gas emissions. Funding was provided by the California Energy Commission grant. Honda plans to roll out a new battery electric model and a new plug-in hybrid vehicle by 2018.
And speaking of cars, filling up at the pump is now the cheapest it's been in a while. According to GasBuddy.com, the national average price of gasoline has dropped 7.6 cents in the past week to $1.89 a gallon. It's the lowest price since March 2009. Gas prices have been declining at the pump due to the decrease in crude oil prices. Here in Torrance, the average gas price is $2.82 and the lowest at $2.57. Costco members can take advantage of one of the lowest rates in town. The next cheapest spot for gas in Torrance was found at the Arco, located on Sepulveda Boulevard near Ocean Avenue. You can keep an eye on gas prices at GasBuddy.com.
New evidence shows there is much more out in space than we may have thought. Astronomers at the California Institute of Technology recently announced that there may be a giant icy planet far beyond the orbit of Pluto. They are calling it Planet 9. A recent publication in the Astronomical Journal describes the planet as about 5 to 10 times as massive as the Earth. Local professor of astronomy and physics Perry Hacking from El Camino College says it's fantastically exciting and that this discovery will give a stronger insight to the physical interactions between planets in the early solar system. Hacking says if the planet is found, it would be the second time a planet has been discovered this way. He also added that it's surprising that an object this size has not been seen, which could mean the planet is very cold. The WISE NASA mission mapped out the sky, and their primary objective was to find a Planet 9, which they were unable to do. Astronomers are basing evidence not by what they have seen, but through the motion of recently discovered dwarf planets and other small objects in the outer solar system.
Well, hundreds of residents packed into the Torrance City Council chambers to learn about the latest details on ExxonMobil Refinery's explosion last year in February. Torrance CitiCABLE reporter Hibis Ahmed was there.
There wouldn't be a city without that refinery. I feel safe in this town.
Emotions ran high as hundreds filled Torrance's city council chambers, some showing their support just by their attendance, while others took the opportunity to voice their opinions.
Problem is, every one of these papers that I've seen here tonight have shown many instances of non-safe behavior.
In response to last year's explosion at ExxonMobil's Torrance refinery, the U.S. Chemical Safety Board initiated an investigation and found potential dangers the event could have posed.
If a cloud of HF were large enough and could affect neighboring communities, it could result in skin burns, damage to bones, respiratory systems if inhaled, longer-term debilitating permanent injury.
The CSB hosted a meeting and shared their findings, including events leading up to the blast. Officials say there were multiple systematic problems, which then caused the hydrocarbons to accumulate inside the electrostatic precipitator, leading to the explosion.
Refineries are not supposed to explode. And last February, when this refinery had an explosion, it was a near miss of a hydrofluoric acid tank. Had that been a few feet different, you could have had a catastrophic event.
One of the main concerns for U.S. Congressman Ted Lieu and others were the claims that a modified hydrofluoric acid cloud could have moved into surrounding neighborhoods if the tank was hit.
We're working on legislation to ban or phase out modified hydrofluoric acid because of how dangerous it is.
But ExxonMobil employees say safety has always been a top priority and that allegations of what could have happened that day are not accurate.
We didn't find any evidence that suggested February the 18th incident posed any harm to the community, any risk of harm to the community.
Despite the CSB reports that management did not comply with state safety standards, more than a dozen ExxonMobil employees who are also longtime Torrance residents stepped up to the podium to express their confidence in their company's safety protocols.
I also know that the people that work with me are not afraid to let me know if they think something is unsafe, and we'll stop and not do it.
Longtime resident Christine Sanchez, who has called Torrance home for 28 years, says these incidents at the refinery have impacted her way of life.
I am one of the few individuals who will not drive on Crenshaw Boulevard because I don't want specks coming over on my windshield, so I'll drive out of my way. But given that, I have found that typically a year has not gone by in the 28 years that we haven't had not one, not two, but several incidences. We have had some deaths, not more recently. But this last year, I think, really caused some frustration.
While allegations from Congressman Ted Lieu and CSB imply that ExxonMobil has not fully cooperated to provide the information needed to finalize the investigation, Torrance Mayor Patrick Fury says he believes everyone involved has one common goal.
I think what we have to look for is what is the ultimate way the refinery can work in a safe way, and that's all the community wants.
Nothing is more important to ExxonMobil than the safety of our employees, of our contractors, and of our neighbors.
So you never know until after it happens. And I would hate to see us all sitting here in a post-mortem meeting like this where we're thinking about what went wrong, when we have an opportunity now to make sure that we can do something about not having a tragic event
Thank you,
happen.
Mr. Gao.
For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Hiba Samad.
Thanks, Hiba. The United States Chemical Safety Board is a non-regulatory agency. Their goal is to do a broad analysis of incidents. Farmers market attendees brought in the new year in a cultural way. And it was quite the workout as visitors got in on the action and helped to pound mochi. Popularly known as a Japanese rice cake, mochi is a traditional food enjoyed during the Japanese New Year. The cooked rice is pounded with a wooden hammer in a wooden bowl while keeping a steady rhythm. The event was put on by Coda Farms, Torrance Certified Farmers Market rice farmer. The market at Wilson Park is open every Tuesday and Saturday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m., rain or shine.
And another longtime tradition continues at a local high school in Torrance. Different groups shared their club's culture through dance performances. The South Asian, Pacific Islander, Filipino, and Latino cultural groups all performed at the Hands Across Campus Assembly in their newly renovated gym. It's been a tradition for the past 26 years for cultural high school clubs to perform in honor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and the dream he had for everyone.
Today was a great opportunity for everyone to see the vast diversity of the Torrance High School campus. You got to see 5 different culture clubs work together to perform a 4-minute performance in front of all of their peers.
During the assembly, Martin Luther King Jr.'s famed "I Have a Dream" speech was played for students to remind them of the struggles that were set in history. Students say their favorite part was having all the students come together.
Art enthusiasts packed in the Torrance Art Museum to get a glimpse of its newest and exclusive exhibit. The museum presented a group exhibition called Sibling Rivalries, a mix of art from artists based in New York City and Los Angeles. It had 14 pieces from the Big Apple and 14 from the City of Angels. It showed the historic competition between the East and West Coasts. The word rivalry in this context symbolized a dynamic interaction between art practices occurring in 2 of the most central places in the United States. The exhibit will stay in Torrance until March 12th.
And a new brewery is getting closer to opening its doors in Torrance. Cosmic Brewery is just weeks away from their grand opening. Crews have been finishing up demolition on cement floors to get ready for new drains. Owner Chris Brills says he's been a long-time Torrance resident, but has been brewing and selling beer independently from San Jose. It took him about 5 years to find the best location to build his brewery. The facility will offer a larger space to produce products and will even have a tasting room. They already have 2 beers on tap and plan to have 8 by the opening. They're located on the corner of Del Amo Boulevard and Gramercy Place.
Plus, another location is brewing up some good news. Schofield Premium Ales recently had their building plans approved by the City of Torrance, getting them one step closer to opening their doors. They received the majority of their permits to begin many aspects of construction. They anticipate the work to move quickly now, with an inspection anticipated next. Schofield is a business idea that came about from 2 South Bay couples. The facility will have a tasting room, a 7-barrel system, and 8 fermenters. We will continue to follow their journey. For more information, you can visit drinkschofield.com.
Well, the rainy season is just beginning, and one Torrance resident is sharing her story of the 1997 El Nino season that left a devastating aftermath. Torrance CitiCABLE reporter Tao Ta has the story.
Yes, it did seem like, was it ever going to stop? You know, once it started, is it ever going to go away?
Carol Rowland remembers the 97 El Nino as if it was just yesterday.
Collecting in puddles, yeah, just coming down.
When devastating floods and mudslides became the scene in the late 1990s, Rowland says things went a little differently in her Torrance residence.
Especially at night, you would hear the rain, but not for very long, but very strong.
Rowland says she didn't even know it was called El Nino until later on, so preparing for the heavy rains wasn't something she thought of, other than that it rained and rained.
Okay, that it rained all day on the 5th of January, and then January 25th and 26th, was rainy. And then I have one in March 25th where it rained all day.
But Roland's quite lucky. While there was not any major damage done to her home, she's making sure that she's ahead of the storms this time around.
It was a regular pond that we built when we first moved in. And so we had to make holes in the bottom of it so the water would soak in. In the last rains that we had, it disappeared, so it did soak in.
Now that she's better prepared, Roland welcomes the much-needed rain.
It's a good thing, you know. It's hard to believe because they keep saying it's coming and everything, and it's hard to believe that it's going to really happen.
For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Tao Tao.
Thanks, Tao, the 1997 El Nino till this day is remembered as one of the most powerful El Nino events recorded in history.
And as we prepare for El Nino 2016, Torrance pet owners are also being reminded to plan ahead for not only yourself, but also for your four-legged friends. Our Canine Corner host, Rhiannon Trutanich, has some great tips.
They're not used to it in Southern California, and sometimes something accompanies rain. It's that great big noise and that flash of lightning, which can scare many pets.
If you do have to leave your dog home alone during a storm, there are a few things you can do to help keep them calm.
So especially if they're home alone, you want to make sure they're secure, that you don't leave a lot of things plugged in, but you might check into some sort of calming agent for them for when those big storms hit. And there are some aromatherapies you don't need any prescription for, but you want to try them out ahead of time. They work different ways, but they're safe for most dogs.
And in between storms, it's important to be mindful of where you're walking your dog and the potential hazards El Nino can cause.
Water that sits breeds bacteria. You never want your pets to drink any of that water that's been sitting out because they could get giardia or just any type of upset stomach in which they'll have a lot of vomiting and diarrhea, which could lead to dehydration. Go look at your yard every time after there's been a big storm. Don't just let the dog out because a tree branch could have fallen on the fence, or a lot of the water and mud rushing through could have unearthed the fence, and now your pet no longer has a safe containment.
In addition to these tips, pet owners need to be prepared in case of an emergency situation.
Being a pet first aid and CPR instructor, I'm going to say you need to be up to date on your pet first aid and CPR skills, because during a disaster, paws can get cut or burned.
Pet owners should also have an emergency supplies kit for their canine companion, just as they have for themselves.
Now, as far as the disaster kit for our Fido or our Fluffy even, water.
Okay.
For small dogs, you need to plan on a half a gallon per day of water. For large dogs, a gallon per day. And for us humans, about a gallon per day. You need to have water ready to go.
A flashlight, carrier, toys, blanket, leash, harness, and grooming supplies should be included in the kit, and of course, food.
So you're going to want to have your dry food. If you have canned food, you're going to need a non-electric can opener, or make sure you have the kind that just pops open, those pop tops. Pay attention to the expiration date.
And Denise says keeping a list with your kit can help make sure you have everything you would need.
It just tells you all of the things you need to have so you can check it off, and then to put down some important information here. I know a lot of people will already have some of these things like their veterinarian, their animal ER. There's nothing like the old-fashioned way, you know, and having it actually written down when you need it.
Thanks, Rhiannon. For more information, you can go to sunnydoginc.com.
With tax season officially here, local law enforcement wants to keep you safe from potential tax scams. The Torrance Police Department says tax scam suspects can file made-up tax returns using Social Security numbers and other personal information. The IRS suggests simple steps you can take to protect yourself. First, don't carry your Social Security card with you. Only give out your Social Security number if it's absolutely necessary. Check your credit and Social Security report regularly. Also, keep in mind that many scams happen on the phone as well. Suspects will call and claim they are working for the IRS, and they even try to convince victims that they owe money. Lastly, it's important to remember that the IRS will never ask for personal information or immediate payments over the phone. For more information, you can call Torrance Police Department at 310-618-5641. Welcome back, everybody. Before we go, we have a few events to tell you all about. The newly opened Frida Mexican restaurant at the Del Amo Fashion Center will kick off their mariachi brunch this month, offering a ceviche, tamale, and taco bar, along with an egg and omelet station and much more. Frida is located next to Great Maple and Nordstrom along the boulevard. And the foundation is looking to pay partial tuition for Torrance High School seniors. The Simon Youth Foundation has opened up its applications process for high school seniors living at least 50 miles within the Del Amo Fashion Center. They are giving away $1,500. You can go to syf.org/scholarships to apply. Plus, the Volunteer Center is hosting an open house to celebrate its Food for Kids program. They plan to have a number of activities that evening. This event takes place on Thursday, January 28th at 5 p.m. It is free to attend. The Volunteer Center is located on 1230 Cravens Avenue. And before we go, we have a sneak peek at the latest sports desk with Mr. Boom Sauce, Colin Cushing.
Colin, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Jin and Ben. Welcome to Boom Sauce Land, everyone. It's another jam-packed week here on the sports desk. We have more Pioneer League action coming at you from the hardwood and pitch, the Twitter feed, and so much more sauce. Tune in at 4 and 9:30 p.m. right here on City Cable. Boom Sauce! Jin and Ben, back to you.
Thanks, Colin. Well, that does it for us on This Week in Torrance. I'm Ben McCain.
And I'm Jin Chun. If you missed any portion of our show, you can catch us again at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. And be sure to join us every Tuesday night right before the City Council meeting as we bring you the latest news on Newsbreak Live with Hiba Samad. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
The lovely Hiba Samad.